I've chosen to talk about Nadine Gordimer. Um, yes. Nadine Gordimer was a South African writer born November 20th, 1923 in a city called Springs in South Africa. And she died 2 years ago on July 13th in the capital of South Africa, Johannesburg. Uh, she went to a Catholic convent school, and afterwards she attended university, but only for 1 year before she dropped out and moved to Johannesburg to pursue her dreams of becoming a writer. But even though she only attended university for 1 year, she has later on in interviews told that this was the place where her political interests started to grow. So it still affected her, even if it was only for 1 year. Her parents were both Jewish immigrants, and also some of her interest in the racial inequality in South Africa was partly influenced by her parents because they had they were they had both tried to live as refugees and were very concerned about inequality. Um, Also, her parents feared that she had a weak heart, so they didn't they didn't send her to a normal school, and therefore she was a lot at home and often alone. And this is where she began writing at a young age. In 1954, she got married to Reinhold Cashier, who was an art dealer, and the marriage lasted until he died in 2001. And together they had a child, Hugo Cashier, who is now a movie maker and lives in New York City. Her work and her activism. Nadine Gordimer has a very broadly based career. She has done a lot of different genres. She has worked together with her son on a couple of documentary programs. She has been a teacher at several universities in the US. She has written both fiction and non-fiction dealing with different South African topics. She's been a script writer on both a movie and a TV series, and furthermore, she's also done a TV documentary. Her first novel to gain international attention was Bourgeois World, The Late Bourgeois World, and it was banned from South Africa in 10 years because it reflects over the white people's participation in the blacks' fight for freedom in South Africa. And throughout time afterwards, a lot of her books were banned for longer or shorter periods, but she typically she reacted by writing more critical um, novels and texts. For example, in 2001, a provincial education department temporarily removed one of her novels, July's People, from a school's reading list because they described it as deeply racist, superior, and patronizing. And that characterization Gordimer took as a big insult. So throughout time, Gordimer has received a lot of discrimination towards her work and herself, but still continued to do it to fight for equality. Virtually all of Gordimer's works deal with themes of love and politics, particularly concerning race in South Africa. Also, she's questioning power relations and truth, and Gordimer tells stories of ordinary people, but through these stories she reveals their moral difficulties and choices. And she got involved in the anti-apartheid movement when her best friend was arrested in the year 1960, and the Sharpeville massacre happened. Also, she was close friends with Nelson Mandela's attorneys, and she actually helped edit Mandela's famous speech called I am prepared to die. And then after he was released from prison, she was one of the first people he came to see afterwards. She has received 15 honorary degrees from universities around the world, and in 1987 she founded the Congress of South African Writers, which came about from the need to have an association that worked to promote literature, black literature, and restore the balance after the distortion under the apartheid regime, where only white literature was allowed. And furthermore, she also has the Nobel's Prize in Literature, and she got that in 1991. Her legacy. Nadine Gordimer is said to be the conscience of South Africa because, with her poetic and sharp writing, she kind of cuts through the consciousness of apartheid and exposes the prejudice and racism that the apartheid regime was built on. So therefore, she's said to be the conscience of South Africa. And she has also achieved international recognition for her works because it deals with these political issues as well as the moral and psychological tensions of her racially divided home country. And she is said to be a woman who, through her magnificent epic writing, has, in the words of Alfred Nobel, been a very great benefit to humanity.